Today we're back inside of Diablo Immortal, and with me I have Misery Hates Company. We're going to be discussing what we just heard about the incoming update inside of Diablo Immortal. Of course, we do have the roadmap, and we have more than just that. I'm excited to have you back on the channel. It's always nice to kind of chat over things together. Sometimes we miss stuff, and we can kind of get it going. How you doing today? Thanks for coming through, man.
I'm great, man. I'm living the dream. I always appreciate having you, having me on your channel, and vice versa. Working together, these collabs are always fun. Yeah, there's a lot to be excited about in Diablo Immortal right now.
How about this, man? No one was expecting this. A
Oh
new
no,
class. I never thought we'd be getting a new class this soon. It may actually even be too soon. Like the Blood Knight is still like pretty new hot sauce, but people are going to be excited about what's new. And I want to throw this out there. In yesterday's video, when I was reacting to the trailer, I thought that they said a class is coming that we are familiar with inside of the Diablo franchise, but actually I've been corrected. It is something brand new to Diablo, which I think is actually pretty cool because we are not Diablo Immortal is bringing all these new things. They're not doing and redoing Diablo 3, Diablo 2 stuff. So obviously there's some, like having the Butcher come into the game, which a lot of people like, but I think it's cool with the new class, man. What are you thinking here? Like, do you have any early guesses on what we might be seeing or anything like that?
yeah. So I also picked up on that too, where it said unlike anything that we've seen in Diablo, and they didn't say Diablo Immortal. They said unlike anything in Diablo.
Right.
So then I was like, okay, well, a lot of people were speculating about some type of an assassin class. Well, we had an assassin class in Diablo 2. So that sort of, at least in my head, scratches that off.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was kind of digging into this emblem. I was like, well, do the colors mean anything? You know, like, do these colors like allude to like some amount of element or I don't know. But then like the emblem seems to be like an upside down, like twisted sword. So then I was like, well, maybe it's an assassin, you know? So I don't know. I think that the placement of the flag is also very curious to me.
Yes.
To your point, I had no idea this was coming. Never would I even thought we would get a class this early. I mean, you can see the second anniversary, that would have made sense. You know, every 1 year you get a new class. But yeah, the timing, the delivery, just very cold turkey, like no sneak peeks, just boom, new class coming soon. And then you see the flag in between March and April. Like, wow. I mean, when do you think we're getting this thing?
I don't know, but I want to know what happened to our data miners, man. Where are those
Yeah,
guys at? They're supposed to spill these beans to us 3 months ago, but no,
that's great.
they're not even around anymore. But I have absolutely no idea what it's going to be. I was hoping that it would be like a witch doctor class, but that's
Mhm.
also like necro-esque, I guess, in ways. But
True.
I also thought a rogue class as well, but then
Hmm.
again, there was something similar. So honestly, I don't know. I have no clue. I haven't seen anything that would kind of like give me a hint. So I'm not really sure. And being that they're saying it's something that's never been seen in a Blizzard type title before or in a
Hmm.
Diablo title before,
Right.
it really could be up in the air and be anything. But you mentioned the placement here, how it's in between on this timeline, March and April. I mean, that
Right.
means that this could be coming in next week's update, which
Which is insane.
I mean, it's the big update. So you would guess that a new class would come in the new update. Like
Right.
the big new update, not like a little patch that comes in a few weeks later. Who knows?
Correct.
But I think Blood Knight came, it kind of took the game by storm.
Hmm.
Still to this day, we have people that love Blood Knight. I'm
Oh yeah.
anticipating that there's going to be some huge hype. It's going to bring a lot more players back to the game. Players that are
Hmm.
just put it down because they got bored. They got to try out the new class. This is going to bring in a
Yep.
good flow of people interested in playing Diablo Immortal again, which is great for us on our YouTube channels, which is
Oh, totally.
more importantly great for the Diablo Immortal community to keep the game thriving and things like that. So I honestly don't have a guess. If I were to guess something, I'd be guessing like completely with no wisdom whatsoever. So I'm not even
Sure.
going to guess. But there's other things that we talked about or that
Yeah.
we saw as well. One of them is we have this. I'm basically just scrolling through the trailer here.
Yep.
Um, these what are these? These terror rifts? Is that what these
Yes.
portals were called? Now that's on the
Yeah.
roadmap as well. It's going to be coming right now in this update. Oblivion Pillars, Terror Rifts, Eternal Equipment, and a new quest for Deckard Cain. Now, I do have a whole bunch of footage that was sent over to me from Blizzard that hasn't really been seen that I know of before. I got the okay to share all of that. So what I'm going to do is, just while we're discussing these things, I'm going to put some of this footage in the background. It may
Love
not
it.
be exactly relevant to our talking points, but if you keep your eyes peeled, everyone should be able to, just kind of get a good look at what's going on in here. So I'm just going to go on through. You may see new skills and stuff for classes or, some cool kind of stuff. So starting with this barbarian, but so we have these pillars, right? We have the
Mhm.
Oblivion pillars that take us into, I believe, Terror Rifts. Is this correct? Am I on the right track here?
I think it's the other way around. The terror rifts open, and then you get the red currency that we saw drop there that then
Yes.
open the pillars.
Right. And okay, so you get the Terror Rifts. Terror
Yep.
Rifts, which is what we're looking at right here, opening the pillar right now,
Yep.
is
There you
then
go.
going to bring on a battle, and that battle is going to give us the red stuff,
Hmm.
which is then going to allow us to get the gear, or the red stuff opens up the pillar and then we get the gear.
Yes. That one. And there's a
Okay.
higher chance with this Oblivion pillar to get the eternal gear. Now there's those new bounty contracts. I forgot what they called. Some amount of like new name for bounties, but same idea where you collect 4 bounties, you turn in an unknown amount of these red currency, and then you get to use these like elite bounties, we'll call them.
Hmm.
And then those have a smaller chance of getting this new eternal gear. So it seems like from a free to play standpoint, that would be probably what the target audience would want. Whereas if you've been grinding since day one and have decent combat rating, you should in theory be able to push into these Oblivion pillars, which is super exciting.
Yeah, and look, we have one of those red globes is over there on the side as
Yep.
well in this image. Um, I also believe that these Oblivion pillars and these Terror Rifts can be done solo. I don't think that they need to, or that they can be done with a team. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I believe that they're solo activities, which is really cool and actually more challenging. And also, this is more like end game stuff, right? Like this is
Right.
stuff that we're going to be seeing as an end game player, someone that's been playing for a long time, which is also really cool. So I've
Yeah.
actually I haven't really watched too much of this footage, so I'm enjoying watching it as we're discussing this stuff too. But
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where like I didn't even think to ask about more in-game content. So the fact that he just brought that to us, I was like, yeah, that is what I want. Yeah, I mean, what is our in-game content?
yeah,
Now, I was talking to the community about it, and somebody brought up a really interesting point. Is this end of game content or just in-game content? So, they said that Diablo's coming, right? And we know that the timeline for Diablo Immortal is somewhere between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. So with Diablo coming, is this like, or will we see a end of our Inferno difficulties where there finally is a cap? Personally, if you go back to like, not right now, but eventually if we go back to the roadmap, I don't think that's the case because they talk about Heliquary bosses in Q4, which based off simple math would show that there is going to be some amount of new difficulty, because then one in second quarter where we talk about Heliquary bosses, that would indicate that, yeah, so new
hmm
Heliquary bosses April June, that would indicate that we're getting another, that's the next tier, 1300 plus Paragon level. But in Q4 it says new Heliquary bosses again. That would lead me to believe that there's new hell difficulties coming at the end of the year, or Inferno, or something new even.
I don't think that there's ever going to be an end, because when there's an
Yeah.
end to story, then that's the end to the growth of Diablo Immortal. And
Correct. Agreed.
I think the game's just being too successful for them to say, all right, the story's all wrapped up. We're going to stop it
Yeah, we're all
here.
done.
Yeah, no. And they'll wrap up the story
Right.
when the game starts to naturally wrap itself up in
Right.
hopefully 5
Right.
years from now, if not more. So
Right.
that's
I
what
mean,
I'm anticipating. But
agreed. Whenever Diablo Immortal 2 comes out.
That's going to be Diablo 5, which is cross-platform, I think.
Oh,
That's
there you
how
go.
it'll
I like
work,
that
right?
idea.
Yeah. So we get this new type of gear. This what was it called again?
Inferno gear. No.
No.
Yeah? No.
Uh,
Eternal gear.
Eternal Gear. Yeah. Okay. So we were both stumped there. Eternal Gear, which has 4 different properties. Right now, I
Mhm.
believe 3 is the most amount of properties that you can get on a really nice piece of gear. We hunt
Yep.
for that gear. We get the ones with the 3 stats, and we're like, yeah, we're decked out. But now we're going to be able to get the Eternal Gear with those 4
Mhm.
stats, which we can get from these terror rifts and from all of that. Or you can get from the bounties, which, as you were mentioning,
Mhm.
it's like a beefed up bounty, which you'll be
Right.
able to spend some of that currency that now drops those red globes and put it into that. At least that's how I'm thinking this is going to work. Um, I guess we're going to get a much better understanding of that when we actually get our hands on it and can try. But this
Very
footage
soon.
here is actually really cool because everything that's revolving around what we're watching here is
Mhm.
around those pillars, which is
Yeah.
nice. So let's get back into the roadmap because there's more things that I wanted to touch on. New
Yep.
Heliquary bosses, always
Mhm.
cool. Not
Yep.
not game excitement for me personally. It's good for progression, but it's not
Yep.
anything that's super exciting. Notice they did say in the roadmap here. Now this is for April to June. New equipment
Mhm.
system and new
Right.
Paragon system. So it's not just, it's making it seem as if there's not just going to be a couple more Paragon trees that go
Right.
along the way, but a whole new way that it works, which I actually
Yeah.
don't mind the Paragon system now. I like that you could take out and put on. They made it
Mhm.
better than it was in the beginning, but really
Oh yeah.
curious to how that's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I interpret that the same way you did, which is this seems more of like an overhaul.
Hmm.
New Paragon system, like when the word system to me, at least in my brain, it translates to overhaul. So new Paragon system would, in theory, change how the Paragon system works. I mean, just something as simple as being able to activate two would, I think, pretty dramatically change most of our
Ooh.
builds. That's just shooting from the hip. I have no idea where they want to go with it, but it's just something that small of being able to activate two different ones, or there's a lot of different things they could do with that. So that's interesting. And then what was the other one that we said? The new
Gear.
gear, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they're redoing legendaries with this new gear, is that second phase for set gear? Like, do we see a new type of set gear that's maybe upgradable? At least that's where my head goes to. So what do you think? How do you interpret that?
I mean, uh, I'm trying to make a joke that's not stupid, but I'm like, two legendary gems per piece of gear is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. Literally just upgrade it.
Just upgrade it to get two slots for legendary gems. I mean, that's a good way to get progression and people just keep
Hmm.
on investing. But uh,
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't. I look at the Paragon system and I don't see an issue with it. So I don't know what the overhaul could be focused on. Now, if you talk to me about familiars or if you talk to me about the charm system, there could
I
be
knew you were gonna say
overhauls.
charms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there could be overhauls had there. It's
Yep.
clunky and a lot of
Hmm.
RNG and it's
Too
just
much RNG.
too much, right? So I can see overhauls there. But when we talk
Mhm.
about the gear system, I think the gear system works good. Like it's
Right.
it's it's fine. Maybe so I'm not sure about what that overhaul is going to look like, but again, it shows that and they take a lot of criticism for a lot of things
Mhm.
inside of the game, right? But when they're
Oh
doing
yeah.
this kind of stuff, it shows that they're just always trying to improve, even on things
Yep.
that people aren't sitting here actively complaining about. They're trying to
Right.
make the game better. And
Yep.
I mean, we're coming up on 2 years in this game, bro. That's well. First of
It's
all,
big.
where the hell did the time go that we have been spending playing all this? But
That's right.
many people in the beginning said that this game wouldn't even last the first year. Just saying, and
Yeah.
it's
Here we
going
are.
pretty strong. Yep. So let's go back to the roadmap. I want to take a look at a
Yep.
little bit more. Um, Eternal Equipment, Oblivion Pillars, Terror Rift. That's in the current update, plus another Deckard Cain Elite Quest. I
Yep.
don't know, man. You know what? I'm looking at this timeline again now. If we're getting all this stuff in the gold, the blue new class is clearly after that banner.
Right.
So it may not be coming next week with this update. It may be an additional piece of content that comes, a solo piece of content. I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah,
What?
it's definitely interesting. Like, could that just be, we know for sure these quarterly updates are their own entity, but yeah, to your point, it is not part of a quarterly patch in terms of these banners. It's its own entity, so maybe that is just a slightly bigger minor patch that, well, I guess slightly bigger would be quite big.
Massive.
But
I
yeah.
To be honest, in my opinion, I would like it to be two separate ones. There's going to be so
Yeah.
much for us to do with terrorists and oblivion pillars
Hmm.
and all that stuff that I would be fine with having that for a few weeks and then getting a new class to dive into and kind
Yeah.
of
Oh yeah.
spreading it out is good for me. All right, so we also have, if I'm looking at July September,
Hmm.
Worldstone Quest Part 1, sure, that's cool. Dungeon updates. So again, it doesn't say new dungeons. It's a different
Hmm.
way of maybe doing dungeons or how the system works.
Right.
Wondering if this has something to do with queue times in dungeons. Have found myself lately trying to do particular dungeons, often the
Uh,
dungeon of the day, and really having to
yep.
wait around for a while. And
Hmm.
rather than me typically doing the same dungeon that I always do because it's my favorite, I'll do the quick party dungeon now
Yep.
because it's
Same.
quicker. I've recently started doing that in the past week or so, and it's very effective. So I'm wondering if they're gonna do some kind of overhaul there with dungeons. Everyone's doing them, so I'm
Right.
wondering why is the queue time so long for that, and it's cross server as well. So
Right. Yeah, I don't even know what to think of that. I mean, again, kind of your point about the Paragon system, like that system isn't broken. That's an interesting thing to change.
yeah,
But without everything else coming that's new, again, without having played it yet, this leads me to believe that these new changes are going to be exciting. So I'm still excited with the idea of a change or a quote unquote update to dungeons. Not saying that we needed it, but it's definitely gonna be interesting to see what it looks like.
Yeah, hopefully it's something. Hopefully it's something good. hopefully it's a positive change. I mean, obviously they think it's going to be a positive change. Hopefully it does
Right.
roll out that way. We also have a new co-op mode coming that doesn't tell us much. I love
Pretty
new
big.
modes coming, but they often do bring new modes. Like they brought all the new PvP modes, which is great. It's now just a staple rotation inside of the game, which is things that I've been saying forever it should be, and I think it's great.
Yes.
I get tired of doing some battle royale, and then the week after I
Mhm.
can do some Survivor's Bane. It's just really
Yep.
cool how that works. Survivor's Bane, by the way, being the one that I miss the most when it's gone.
Oh, it's so fun.
But I am happy that it's not there all the time, or else it would get
Yep.
stale.
Agreed.
Um, Another update coming to the Accursed Towers. Now, the Accursed Towers are confusing when you're talking
Yeah.
about how you have to capture them and you have to fight over
Mhm.
them and all that. That's the confusing part. The easy
Yep.
part is when you own a tower, you basically dive
Get
in there,
there.
you run through it once a day, you try and get your chest open a few times because you can get some legendary crests, and you get
Mhm.
some, it's essentially free experience. You log in the morning, you tap the button, you get some free experience, or if you have two of them, you get some good XP.
Yep.
Um,
Some low maintenance stuff.
but it's not really. I remember when they announced it, it was like this going to be
Mhm.
this new event, this new PvP,
Yes.
and it really hasn't turned out that way. It's nothing like a Shadows versus Immortals type thing. There's no real battle. It's just like
Mhm.
you want the buffs from that accursed tower and the loot that you can get from it. So everyone tries to fight for that one. Or if you're not strong enough in your clan, you go for an easy one that no one's going to bother you about. Like that's really what it's about.
So just
And
out of curiosity
yeah,
now, because I know my answer to this question, how many times have you done the PvP within a Cursed Towers?
I think once. I think
I have
only.
literally never done it. Not
Yeah.
once.
So you're
I
just
never have.
you're just riding the coattails of your clan, reaping the rewards, doing zero work.
That is exactly what I'm doing.
Oh my god. You're that guy,
but
man.
but it's one of those things like, there's so many of the same tower. Like if you lose it, it's like, okay, like we have the PvP tower, we challenge another PvP tower, and we just send our whales to the offensive one to get the new one. So that way
Yeah.
we don't really care if we lose it. So there's no real reason for me as a 3K res to sign up. Like we got guys that do that, guys and gals that have much higher resonance or are better skilled in PvP than I am because
Yep, I
I'm
get
awful.
it. Same.
But
No,
yeah,
but
it'll be interesting to see what that turns into.
that's the point. The
Yeah.
point is what you just said. What's the point? I'll just go get another
Right.
tower. So like there's really
Yeah.
no, and that's probably why they want to do the overhaul. They built
Mhm.
this whole robust system and a
Yeah.
whole new PvP, and it's not really being used. So I
Yeah.
like the idea. We've said this before again. I even spoke to DM about it back in the day.
Mhm.
Utilize things that are inside of the game for other things. Use zones for other types of zones.
Yep.
Use different PvP modes for other different types. There's no need to remake everything for every different
Right.
mode. We don't care
Yep.
as the gamer. Just let us do different things in that mode, and we'll be
Yeah.
cool. So
Totally.
uh, I'm nervous because I still want to get those daily easy rewards from the
Yeah.
Accursed
Yeah.
Towers. I want that quick XP and maybe a legendary crest or two for free. So I'm nervous that that's going to go away, but I'm happy to see that maybe
Mhm.
there's going to be a more user-friendly battle mechanic from it. Then, as we get towards the end of the year, which I know it's far away, take a look at the image up top. It says "Terror Reigns" and Diablo with
Yep.
that is not the normal Diablo face right there. That is an
No. No.
evil, angry
Yeah.
Diablo. So we
That is
have
an activated Diablo ready to fight.
activated. I like that. So we have new Reliquary bosses, a new
Yep.
zone, which is cool.
Mhm.
Again, I love
Sure.
new zones, especially when they have good farming spots in them.
Yes.
But
Yes.
again, new zones are just that. They're a new zone. Most of them you play through once, maybe twice, and then that's
Yeah.
it. So
Yep.
hopefully, I think the key for new zones to get the gameplay out of them is to have spots that you could actually utilize for good farming. And I think there's
Yep.
more of those spots needed because at least in my server, people know where they all are, and I don't
Yeah.
put videos out on all of them, so people know where they
Right.
all are, and sometimes things are just packed up. So that's a good reason. They have the tower defense mode that we have right now in our
Mhm.
latest zone, which is
True.
cool because I'll find myself going back to do it, and it makes you,
Yep.
it forces you. It's a reason for you to go back to that zone. So I think
Agreed.
that it's been smart
And
of
there were
them to
better
do that.
farming places in the new zone this time. The Southern Dreadland actually has some pretty solid
It's
farm
two
locations,
two good
but the one
ones.
before that, yeah, yeah, there's two really good ones. But
Mhm.
I can't even think of the zone. Ancient Cradle, I think, was that second most recent zone. I don't think anyone ever goes there. Now they finally added bounties to it, but outside of that, I mean, I never go there.
I like that they added the bounties too, and there was another one too. Here, I'm gonna jump into the map in the game really quickly so we could take a
Mhm.
look. Um, so yeah, we have Storm Point.
Storm Point,
You
yep,
don't. There is a spot in Storm Point though. I think that's decent for farming. Southern Dreadlands has two, and then the
yep,
Ancient's Cradle, right? Like no one really ever goes to the Ancient's
yeah.
Cradle. So
Every time I
yeah,
go there, I'm like, "Oh, cool, a new zone that I've never been to."
yeah, because you don't even remember being there. Yeah, I
Nope.
totally get
Yeah.
it. I totally get it. So overall, I
Mhm.
think we basically touched on everything. I think that
Yeah.
next week is going to be a really big week.
Huge.
I'm actually going to be out of office, as I like to call it, although office is within my home. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to be here every single day, and I'm going to have some other stuff to do. So I'm going to be doing content because I have to cover this stuff as it comes out. But I'm going to
Yep.
be doing it the old school, my old school getaway, right on the phone, recording, talking into the phone, putting out everything because I don't want to let everyone down. I know that you'll have some stuff over on your
Of
channel as
course.
well as it comes out. So I urge everyone to go check out Misery Hates Company. I'll be leaving a link to his channel in the description of this video. And we may even pick up this conversation over there.
Mhm.
If we do, I'll link that video so you can go check it out. But any things that we didn't touch on that maybe were in your head about the incoming update that you'd like to discuss before we head on out for the day?
Oof. We can end it on a cliffhanger. And it's the Eternal Gear and what the impacts are to class change. That's the thing on in the back of my mind right now, and I don't
Ooh.
have a good answer for that.
Well,
But I'll leave you on a cliffhanger.
why don't we go talk about that over on your channel? I think that is a good
There we go.
idea. How is
There
Eternal
you go.
Gear going to affect class changing inside of Diablo? There's your title.
There you go.
There's
Oh
your
shit,
title.
write it down.
It's ready to go, man. It's ready to go. All right. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let us know your thoughts on the incoming update, everything that we've seen so far. Are you excited about it, or are you concerned about how things are going, or are you someone that's saying fix the things that are going on inside of the game now and don't give us stuff new? I know there's a bunch of you guys saying that stuff as well, but I'm excited for it. New class
Yep.
is going to be sick. I'm absolutely in love with my Crusader right now, and I'm going to be forced to
Wow.
switch to this new class. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
because who isn't going to try the new class? We're all going to
Yeah.
be trying the new class.
Because content, right? I mean,
I mean, we're forced to. I don't change class as much as I should, being a creator on YouTube. Good thing I have a solid community that helps
there you
out
go.
with some of the other classes. But man, thanks for coming through. I always appreciate it. And we'll go back over to your channel now and talk about the class change mechanic. Great cliffhanger. We'll see you guys
There you
back
go.
here tomorrow with another video.